When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
Study and play come together on a Windows 11 PC. And for a limited time, college students get the best of both worlds. Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
This is what everyone's talking about.
Everything's on the table.
This is what champions come to take. This is what everyone came to see.
And the slam!
No do-overs. No second chances. No more Mr. Nice Guy. This is winner take all. The NBA Finals continue on ABC and the ESPN app.
Comcast is delivering extraordinary experiences in live sports. Through the incredible broadcast and storytelling from NBC, innovative and personalized viewing features on Xfinity and Peacock, and the country's most reliable Wi-Fi, viewers can enjoy every game-changing play faster and more seamlessly than ever. All on a network built to deliver unforgettable moments as close to live as possible. The ultimate experience for the American sports fan. Learn more at ComcastCorporation.com/sports.
Where is Daredevil? I'm right here. Don't miss the return of Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again.
So what's next?
I feel liberated.
We're gonna take this city back.
Over-medicated. In an all-new season, now streaming only on Disney+.
They're hunting us. It's time we started hunting them.
I can work with that.
This should be tons of fun.
Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again, now streaming only on Disney+.
Welcome to a very special presentation from Islanders Anxiety, the creators of Master Leaf Theater, Ranger Peace Theater, and Master Pens Theater, and specials such as A Tree Falls in Toronto and the talented Mr. Chayka. Tonight, we bring you a tale of the duality of man, of corporate greed, and above all else, of a rich asshole who is, by his own admission, also very cheap. And so, with that in mind, we salute the greatest and most notorious cheapskate in all of Western literature, Charles Dickens' Ebenezer Scrooge, and have titled this special, A Canesmas Carol. My name is Dan Saraceni. With me is my friend Michael Lieboff. And Mike, I know you're as excited as I am to finally get into this special and get this out to people. We've been working on this for a long time, and we're both ready to go to make this happen.
Yeah, I don't ever let it be said that the folks over at Master Leaf Theater Studios are low budget. We're not Tom Dundon. You know, we will splurge to make sure that our fans are treated to the best product. And we cast a very wide net. Almost basically had a casting call for this for this special, high and low, left and right, crossing ponds even, to find the right voice for this, and we did. And you know, it took a lot of grinding. They were grinding towards a deal. We finally got our man, and we're really excited for this because of the color that it's going to add. But boy, yeah, this is one that we've been waiting for some time. And as I said, man, we in we took some inspiration from Neil Glassberg, who did the Toronto Maple Leafs coaching search with his firm. We found our guy, just like they found their guy, the talented Mr. Cheika. But I think our guy who's joining us tonight is he might be a little bit more talented. He's definitely more human than John Cheika, who continues to show up on these random media availabilities, looking less and less human. So
yes,
very excited to get into this. Mr. Talented Mr. Cheika, you're free to go. You're not under the microscope today, but someone else is caught in our crossfire here. So really excited.
Yes, very well said. We spared no expense to bring our audience the best of the best. And the third member of our team, the man without whom we could not have done this, is someone we've had on our show before, a country club atmosphere, cricket expert, Islanders fan, Leeds United fan, and a proud son of Yorkshire in the north of England. It's our friend Gavin Taylor. Gavin, thank you so much for lending your voice to this incredible project that we are about to bring forth.
Good evening, gents. It's a privilege to be here. I'm very happy to be part of your Master Leaf Theatre spin-off. And I can attest that no expense has been spared in the making of this. So it's a privilege to join you both, and happy to bring an English/London accent to your pod.
Yeah, yes. I mean, one of my biggest pet peeves in any movie or TV show is when they cast Americans to play. Like, wasn't there a Matt Damon movie where he was like playing like a Chinese warrior or something on like the Great Wall a few years ago?
Something like that.
Yeah, right. So like, there's enough British people out there who can read Dickens. There's enough American people who can be. There's always English people playing like people from the South, I feel like. So I'm really excited. You know what though? There was that HBO show Task with Mark Ruffalo, and everybody else in doing their Delco Pennsylvania accents was from like Ireland and England, and they all did a good job. So they get a pass. But for us, we wanted this to be authentic,
right?
And that's what we go for here at Master Leaf Studios, man. If we're nothing if not authentic.
My little friends in England would probably attest that I actually do not qualify to have an English accent for this podcast. So I'll do the best I can. My wife, who's from Southern California, actually does a much better British English accent than I do. She walks around the house behind me saying, put the kettle on. Let's get a cup of tea. Funny. Everybody's doing okay. So I'll do the best I can of old London town.
Listen, compared to Mike and I, you're Benedict Cumberbatch, right? Like you're the most British man that has ever lived. So, we have you are part of a long line of great British actors who are going to lend their voice to a project here, based in classic British literature. Again, Charles Dickens' Ebenezer Scrooge was sort of our guiding principle for this. And so with that all said, let's set up what a Canesmas Carol actually is, because there's quite a lot of backstory to get to here. So if you are a hockey fan, you know that the Carolina Hurricanes are currently in the Stanley Cup final against the Vegas Golden Knights. Carolina is down 2-1 after a wild overtime loss in Game 3. Double overtime loss, I should say. So they're down 2-1 as we speak. The Hurricanes are owned by a rich asshole named Tom Dundon, who became rich by selling subprime car loans back in the earlier part of the century. ProPublica did a whole expose on this. I'll include that if you want to find out more about how subprime car loans work. It's pretty dastardly, nasty stuff. But under Dundon made himself a lot of money. And under Dundon, the Hurricanes went from being a dastardly transplanted curiosity, going absolutely nowhere, to being one of the most successful teams in the NHL, even before this Cup final run happened. They aren't known for spending big money either on or off the ice. And in fact, their coaching staff and front office are generally believed to be reasonably paid relative to the rest of the league. They don't spend a lot on free agents and things like that, but they've been very successful riding a particular style of play that has worked for them so far. They never spend money on goalies, for example, which is one famous way in which the Dundon likes to save some money. What hockey fans may not know, because I don't think this has really gotten around that far in hockey circles, is that at the end of March, Dundon purchased the Portland Trailblazers of the NBA for about $4.8 billion. The Blazers are a historic team, obviously, having a rough couple of decades. They were They won a championship in 1977, I want to say, with Bill Walton, Jack Ramsey, so a whole bunch of really great players. But and they've had Clyde Drexler and Damian Lillard and all these great players over the years, but they haven't really put it together and been very good for a long time. While normally a new owner means excitement and hope for a brighter future, Dundon's arrival in Oregon was met with anger, confusion, feelings of betrayal that we will explore throughout a Canesmas Carol this evening. So while hockey people think of Dundon as the savior of the Hurricanes, NBA people think of him as something else. In fact, no less a voice than Bill Simmons, the original sports blogger, media magnate, podcaster, diehard Celtics fan, has a name for Tom Dundon and given to him on his podcast. Mike, do you know what name Bill Simmons has bestowed upon Tom Dundon as he purchased the Portland Trail Blazers?
I do not, and I should,
Okay.
but because my friend works for him and asked me about, hey, do you know who this Tom Dundon guy is?
Yeah. Bill Simmons called him El Cheapo, which is kind of what kicked off this whole thing. Called him El Cheapo. And people were like, what is he talking about? What's going on here? Because Simmons obviously knows a little hockey too. And that's what sort of kicked off this whole thing, and which we're going to get into tonight. So again, taking our cues from Dickens, the original text for Christmas Carol is not in chapters. It's done in staves. I don't know why. Chuck took that secret to the grave with him, I guess. So we're going to do this in 3 staves. And the first stave is called Ghosts of Owners Past. And this is where our story sort of begins, really kind of the first, inkling that something was weird about this guy who now owns the Trailblazers. So why don't we get started? Gavin, if you will, please read section 1, our first opening reading here for A Canesmas Carol.
On Tuesday afternoon, a strange scene played out at the Trailblazers Phoenix area hotel. Onlookers noted people in Blazers gear hanging out in the lobby. According to 4 sources with knowledge of the situation, a number of staffers were asked to check out of their rooms at noon, hours before the first bus left the arena. The reasons, multiple sources say, was for the team to avoid the cost of a late checkout. Strange to say the least, last month the Trailblazers were officially purchased by Tom Dundon, the Texan billionaire who also owns the NHL's Carolina Hurricanes. Dundon has a history of being cost-conscious. Among his early moves in Carolina was to eliminate the team's radio broadcast, choosing instead to simulcast the local television broadcast. He also has a history of being successful. Carolina has advanced to the conference finals in 2 of the last 3 seasons and finished this one with the second best record in the NHL. Dundon has expressed sticker shock at some of the costs associated with running an NBA team. Sources familiar with the Blazers owner tells Sports Illustrated. In a recent interview with the Oregonian, Dundon denied lowballing interim coach Thiago Splitter on a contract extension, but people who have spoken to him about Portland's coaching job say he isn't inclined to pay top dollar for a new one.
Fantastic. I'm already super excited. I should have said that comes from an article at Sports Illustrated, SI.com. Chris Mannix's notes, checkout time for Portland, that was on April 15th. When something gets written up in Sports Illustrated, even 2026, it seems people pay attention. And when a NBA team owner wants his team to check out of a hotel earlier to avoid paying late fees and may or may not just want to pay his head coach on a contract extension that has his team going to the playoffs, it makes a lot of noise. Mike, when did you first start to hear about Tom Dundon's cost consciousness in terms of NBA? We obviously know about him in the NHL, but like, when did this first kind of come to your attention?
Yeah, when I saw that he bought the Blazers right away, like it started to pop up around, people just being, I think, because in the NBA obviously spills over into the mainstream, whereas the NHL does not. For the NHL to spill over into the mainstream, something truly amazing has to happen, or it has to be an Olympics, right? Like that's really all. Like Tom Dundon not paying for a radio broadcast is not going to spill over into the mainstream. Right. However, he pulls a similar stunt with an NBA team that he just purchased, it's going to, and that's what happened here. And so when it when he bought the Blazers and it came, like all this stuff started to trickle down, I had nothing but a smirk on my face because I was like, oh, this is great because it's going to kind of, I think, ruffle a few feathers in the NHL media because this guy's going to be painted very differently by folks in the NBA than he is in the NHL. And that's going to be a running theme here of this episode because, of course, in the NHL, Chris Mannix called it cost conscious, his cost conscious philosophy. It's almost lauded in this sport for some reason. And for them, they've been holding him to task right away in the NBA. So once I saw it, I started to have it, that like kind of Grinch smile when it just like creeps across his face. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. This is going to be fun. I can't wait for these guys to find out who this guy is.
Right.
And it didn't take long.
Yeah, no, it did not take long. And we're going to get to all these individual cost consciousness, aspects as we go on, including the coaching search, which is still ongoing, as a matter of fact. So, yeah, the Blazers were having a pretty good season. They went to the playoffs. They, were kind of, having the kind of season that. So let me back up. Actually, the season started with their coach Chauncey Billups getting implicated in that enormous gambling scandal. So Chauncey lost his job. He was replaced by Thiago Splitter, former NBA player, former San Antonio Spur, a long, long time ago. And Splitter leads the Blazers to the playoffs. Now, normally, that's a pretty slam dunk thing. Like, hey, coach, good job. Here's your contract extension. We'll give you a little bit of a raise. Great job. That's not how Tom Dundon thinks. In fact, a lot of this has to do with him trying to lowball Splitter and find a cheaper coach that he can bring in that would, lead his team. I don't know what Thiago Splitter is asking for, but it can't possibly be that much. The players obviously like him, so I don't really know, what the problem is. But the, radio broadcast thing that he did in Carolina, John Forsland was the Hurricanes play-by-play announcer. He was let go. Chuck Caton was also part of the team for like 30 some odd years, going back to Hartford. He was let go. So this is all going to rear its head again. But that's not all. Trying to lowball a coach and getting rid of a broadcast crew is not the only places where Tom Dundon has tried to save money. So let's jump right into section 2. This is also from Sports Illustrated, but from a writer named Liam McKeon, who writes, ranking all the ways new Blazers owner Tom Dundon is reportedly trying to save money during a playoff run. I just took the titles of these things. You could read the article for more expansive stuff, but the titles were good enough for us, plus the little bit at the end. So, Gavin, if you would, please read us section 2.
It'd be my pleasure. Wanting to fire Douglas Fur, the second team mascot. Not giving out playoff t-shirts to home fans. Fewer complimentary tickets for support staff. Not taking team reporter, photographer to away playoff games. Not taking two-way players to away playoff games. Avoiding late checkout fees at all costs. Again, searching for the cheapest head coach possible. This is the number one no-no on the list. It's one thing to skimp on things that aren't technically necessary, even if the PR hit doesn't seem worth it. But skimping on paying the head coach who is responsible for the on-court vision of the franchise Dundon paid billions for reveals where his priorities lie. No fan wants to root for a team where the owner's obvious goal is to save himself as much money as possible, even if the team suffers. No player or coach wants to work for a boss whose track record suggests he'll ditch them the moment a cheaper option passes before his eyes. Could we go back a second? I was just saying, sure. Wondering if there's any, are there any red flags around the cancelling of the radio broadcast? Do we need to be worried here for the Islanders?
yeah, right. Well, I will say, I did bring this up at the time. I didn't feel comfortable saying it, but I heard from a source that when the Islanders got rid of their radio broadcast with Greg Picker and Chris King, allegedly from this source, the first person to reach out to the ownership group was Tom Dundon, telling them, God. Don't worry. This will all blow over soon. People will forget about it, and it worked out great for me. I'm not kidding. This is
It's amazing.
A good source. Yeah, and then when you put that context and then go down to what Gavin just read, this list, which is unbelievable.
Right.
It's so good because this is a man that just paid it actually. Let me back that up for a second. It's so nice to have an English accent reading it because it reminds me a lot of like these League Two lower division teams in English soccer that are like they have their backs against the wall because they're owned by some like random local businessman who's a big fan of the team, and he's like doing everything he can to like save them and keep them out of administration, which is sort of like the first step towards bankruptcy, Gavin, if I have that right. Like,
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's like these guys. So it would be like the person if Long Island had a team in like League Two in the English soccer pyramid, like the owner of Zorns, the Zorns family had Long Island FC. They'd be like, we hate to do it, but Douglas Fir, the second team mascot's got to go. Like we got to fire him, and it's because we need that money to like keep the team in business. And the fans would be like, sad, but we get it. Like, we'll volunteer, we'll sell pies at halftime, all that kind of stuff, because these are community, they're products of a community, they're community teams. Whereas this guy is doing it after he just paid $4.8 billion for these teams. So it's a completely like this different scenario of like these guys are doing it to avoid a doomsday scenario. And this guy's doing it just because, as Liam McCune says, he just wants to save as much money possible.
Yeah,
on a $4.8 billion purchase.
Right. He pays almost $5 billion for an NBA team, and one of the first things he does is say, "Why do we have two mascots?" Like, I don't know. Like, why not? Like, and I'm looking at the mascots page of the Portland Trailblazers site, and there's Blaze, the trail cat, who's a cat with a, it's got like a Blazers warm up outfit on, headband. Looks kind of cool looking. And then there's Douglas Fir, who is a Sasquatch, who is like a big kind of Squatch guy. He's got like a flannel shirt on. He looks like he could have been in an alternative band, in the 90s. But like normally, I think people would be like, "Oh, all right." Like I don't know why does he even care? Like it's just very strange. So some of these need to be kind of more unpacked. Again, the article we hear all night if we went through all these one by one, but the t-shirts thing is kind of funny. Like normally NBA teams give out t-shirts to games. He decided that he wasn't going to do that. He was going to give out rally towels. We're going to get to this again in a few minutes. He decided to leave the team reporter and photographer home for the road games, which again seems like a pretty penny ante thing to do. The two-way players are almost like the Black Aces for an NHL team in the playoffs. You carry a bunch of guys you called up from the AHL just to have in case somebody gets hurt. NBA player, they're called two-way players, and they kind of, generally travel with the team during playoff games. He was like, "No, we're going to leave those guys home," which is a very unusual thing to do. The checkout costs we talked about, the coaching search we're going to get to again in a few minutes. So all of these things just are, you mentioned before, Gavin, one red flag after another. And the theme we're going to get into, and we're going to get into this much, much later, is that in the NHL, this guy is seen as the guy who saved the Hurricanes. He made the Hurricanes relevant. Look at how great he is. Look at all of the analytics staff he has filled out his front office with. Isn't he great? Meanwhile, he goes to the NBA where people actually pay attention and care about these kinds of details, and he starts making changes, and people are like, "Wait, what is happening right now?" Like, it's funny because Dundon has a reputation. Again, we have a thing coming up later about this, about like sort of being a guy who pays attention to detail. Like he wants to know why this thing is being done in a certain way, and just the answer, because we've always done it that way, isn't good enough for him, which is fine. But the people that cover the NBA are the same way. They want to know why you changed a thing that had been working for decades, and so the fact that this guy took so much heat so quickly, and it was actually very funny, and he's going to come by surprise. He's going to get surprised by this. But I want to get to one more thing in stave one here that also gets to why this is has been such a culture shock thing for the Blazers and their fans, and really the NBA at large. And I really love this section here too. This comes from The Athletic. It's by Jason Quick, who's been covering this a lot for The Athletic. And the title is Blazers owner Tom Dundon doesn't care that others say he's cheap. Others, I guess, being Bill Simmons and other people in this case. So Gavin, if you will, please read us section 3 right now.
The bargain budget approach is a culture shock in Portland, where for 38 years the Blazers were owned by one of the richest men on the planet, Paul Allen, and then his sister Jody after his death in 2018. Allen famously lavished his players with rich contracts and with perks that few, if any other NBA owner provided. While players practiced, their cars were washed and detailed in the parking lot. They were feted to lunches on his 413-foot private yacht, the Octopus, from which they were given helicopter tours over the Golden Gate Bridge. And for years, the Blazers flew to road games on Allen's private Boeing 757 jet, the Blazer 1, complete with satellite television, a wet bar, and a master bedroom. Now, if there's a corner to be cut, Dundon is already around it. What should be a celebratory time for an upstart team that has finally escaped the shadow of tanking has instead been a time of collective cringe and fear within the organization. And it appears Dundon does not care. Quote, "This isn't Russian hockey players who don't speak English," a league source says. "In the NBA, everybody talks to everybody else."
I loved this line. And this gets to exactly why we wanted to do this. This isn't Russian hockey players who don't speak English. like on one hand, it's a little offensive, but on the other hand, that's the crux of this whole thing.
Right.
Like in the NHL, people are happy to have this guy in all of his cost-cutting measures. In the NBA, people are like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, so I thought this whole thing was hilarious. And I didn't know all this about Paul Allen, who sounds like a pretty dope owner.
It's funny to read that paragraph, be like, yeah, there's not an NHL owner who I could like imagine doing anything like that, right?
Right.
Like it's just not. There's nobody like that in the sport. But I love this. This isn't Russian hockey players who don't speak English. A league source said. What a good crutch to lean on. But and as you said, it's this guy. It's not just that he's painted as the like the savior of the Hurricanes and this incredibly sharp, progressive owner. He's been labeled by Jeff Marek and Elliot Friedman as the Jerry Jones of the NHL.
Yes.
Over and over and over again. Over and over and over again. And I can't imagine Jerry Jones storming into Jerry World, one Jerry World way and being like, economic conditions, gotta fire the second mascot. And don't you dare give away t-shirts at the playoff games. We're going with rally towels. It'll save us $8,000 for this night, right? Like it's so good because, right. But as I think we'll bring up over and over again, and we have on the podcast, the NBA is covered by journalists and reporters who are going deep. They're uncovering stuff under rocks. The NHL is almost, the media sphere is solely dependent on insiders, aka professional liars, who are just looking for scoops. And who gives out more scoops than anybody? Who is in on everybody? Who when whatever the biggest free agent of the class signs somewhere else, or the biggest deal goes down. I heard the Hurricanes were around it. Yeah. How do you think you heard that? Who rumbled that to you, Pierre? I'll give I got one guess. It's the guy who just got out of a meeting with mascot Douglas Fur.
And it's not just Tom Dundon. You could tell too. Bill Guerin,
right?
Pat Verbeek, the guys that are always coming up. You know who I can see being in on Dylan Larkin? Minnesota. What about Carolina? What about Anaheim? These guys constantly come up because they're constantly talking. And you're 100% right. This is insider culture. This is they get the scoops, and also, which we're going to get to in a little bit, and I can't wait because that's our big moment. Fans who are actually objective journalists, who are not high-fiving each other when their team scores. And now, a word from our sponsors. VintageIceHockey.com. Over 100 classic hockey logos on t-shirts, jerseys, hats, mugs, and more. Long Island Ducks, Albany Riverettes, Danbury Trashers, Kentucky Thoroughblades, and so many more. Plus a full line of Islanders Anxiety merch, with our portion of the sales going directly to the Center for Dementia Research. These incredible items cannot be found in stores, so shop vintageicehockey.com today. Relax, sit back, and enjoy wine from The Pinot Project. Rosé, Pinot Grigio, or a Pinot Noir that was named a Best Buy by Wine Enthusiast magazine. These wines are delicious, affordable, and available at area wine shops and at UBS Arena. Learn more at thepinotproject.com. And please, drink responsibly. I'm glad you brought up the Jerry Jones thing, because he hasn't done this in a while, but Elliot used to do this all the time. He used to say, Tom Dundon wants to be the Jerry Jones of the NHL. And he didn't say that once or twice. He said it a bunch of times over the course of years on his, very widely listened to podcast. And every time he said it, I would sit there and I would think to myself, why would anybody want to be the Jerry Jones of anything? Like, why would you want to be the Jerry? Like, you want to be this weird, creepy, old, Botox meddling fuck whose team hasn't won jack shit since I was a sophomore in high school? That's the guy you want to be? That's your role model here? Why would I want to be Jerry Jones of anything? That's awful. I would hate that. If somebody said, like, oh, this guy's, I listen to all these Islanders podcasts. Dan is definitely the Jerry Jones of Islanders podcasts. I would quit. Like, stop immediately. What are you talking about? That's horrible. Anyway, that was really
That's amazing.
But again, like, to NHL guys, those guys are great, right?
Yeah,
Jerry Jones is a great owner. He does all this stuff. Look at all the money he spends. Look at that big, beautiful stadium they have in Dallas. Yeah, and okay. Anyway, this is this is sort of a this is the tale of two owners here. Paul Allen doing all this stuff with the private jet, the yacht, the plane rides, the helicopter rides, all that kind of stuff. And this guy's like, nope, we got to get you want to give playoff tickets to your cousin who's in town? Nope, sorry, not happening. Get out of here. Crazy. Okay, so that is our setup here that was our stave 1, the Ghosts of Owners Past. Now we move on to stave 2, which is the Ghost of Owners Present, aka Tom Dundon, who clearly hears all this and is like, wait a minute, I got to do something about this. I got to stop this thing. So he goes on a podcast hosted by The Ringer. It's called Game Over. It's hosted by Max Kellerman and Rich Paul, whose agency, Rich Paul is an agent. He has many Blazers players under his umbrella. He goes on this podcast to try and kind of, throw a little bit of cold water on this conversation that's happening around him. And unfortunately, doesn't go quite as well as he hoped, because it did not change anybody's mind at all. But they do confront him with the idea that he is cheap. And he gets right into it. And this kind of explains a lot. We'll get into some other things in a minute as well. Gavin, if you would, please read us Stave 2, Section 4. Blazers owner Tom Dundon discusses relocation, cost accounting measures, Chauncey Billups' arrest, and more, by Joe Freeman of The Oregonian, which is, again, a transcript of this podcast that Tom Dundon was on.
On the notion he's cheap, my hockey team has been over the cap many times. They were the lowest in the league. They were at the floor when I bought them. You can go over the cap in hockey. If you have a hurt player, you can replace them. So I've been over the cap multiple times because there was a rule that allowed you to go over the cap. And at the same time, when I walk out of a room, I turn the lights off. My friends make fun of me all the time. They're telling me how bad I am at being rich. I just don't want to waste money. I want to invest it. I'll have many masseuses. I'll have the best food. We're going to take care of the players because it helps you win. It's part of the deal. Portland spends $100 million more a year on their business than the Hurricanes do, not including players. The Hurricanes, since I bought the team, have the first and second best record in the league. So I'm not going to waste $100 million just because somebody wants to write an article calling me cheap. I'm just not going to do it. And so it's hard because I don't think about the budget when it comes to the playing team and how to make sure we win. Some of the stuff that was blamed on money is actually not 100% true. It's something being rich I get it to own a hockey team. You have to be worth a couple of $1 billion, but being rich and cheap is probably it's kind of the worst of both worlds, isn't it? It's not the best character traits.
Right.
There's almost like a way to be charming in being frugal, like guys who are rich and they're like, oh yeah, like I make sure that I pitch in at the local church, volunteer soup kitchen or whatever, just because I want to give back or something. Like there's a way to do it charmingly, right? And or even like just being a normal human being about it. This is so far from that. It's just like I feel like if I ever get the chance to be in a room with Tom Dundon and he turns off the lights of a place that he owns, I will slap that switch right back on and be like, I leave it alone, buddy. This is for your own good. It's okay.
Yeah.
But oh god, yeah. It's, as you said, he goes on this, and this is a classic showing someone your ass kind of moment here.
Very much
and
so. Yeah.
The hard right turn where he just goes, I don't want to waste money. I want to invest it. I'll have many masseuses.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll turn off the lights, but I'm definitely gonna have all the masseuses that you want. Yeah. It's, again, he's trying to cut this off at the pass, but he's failing miserably. And the story about how he likes to turn the lights off after he leaves the room and his friends say he's very bad at being rich isn't quite the flex that you think it is, right? It doesn't come off as being charming, like you said, or funny. It comes off as being like, are you okay? Like, what's wrong with you? Are you human? Like, again,
had he won the lottery, if he was just like a guy who was working at like a dairy barn and won the lottery, and your friend's like, oh man, you're bad at being rich.
Right.
Be like, oh yeah, I know. No, dude, you made your money by like taking advantage of people with bad credit rates and lending them loan,
Yeah, it's not like he spent $5 billion on the Blazers and then is still driving around in like a 1998 Toyota Corolla. Like that would be kind of funny, right? But like that's not how it works. Like he's trying to, again, as we talked about with John Chayka in our last standalone special, he's trying very hard to come off as a human being and is failing miserably. And this whole, just him going on this podcast, which is co-hosted by a guy who's the agent for a lot of his players, is already kind of weird, So it's very, very odd. And, again, he's trying to kind of combat the ghost of Paul Allen. And, this idea that like, he's not going to spend the money that NBA owners generally spend. And what he mentions in here, though, is also very telling and is going to get us to our next segment. He says Portland spends $100 million or more a year on their business and the Hurricanes do, not including players. That actually ends up being a very telling statement. So that was on May 16th. That article came out. I guess the podcast was probably the day before. On May 20th, something happened that we're going to be very serious and sincere about. I'm not going to put music under this because it's not funny, but it is a very important part of the story. So he goes on this podcast on or about May 15th. On May 20th, the Blazers announced that they have laid off dozens of people as the owner takes over the business operations, and basically lets go of about 70 people, 20% or so of the business operations of the team, all in one shot. Gavin, if you will, please read us section 5 here.
Employees learned about the layoffs during a Tuesday morning group video call, which lasted roughly 2 minutes. The employees were told they'd been laid off and would receive more information at their personal email accounts. The layoffs affected both business and basketball operations and ranged from senior vice presidents to public relations employees to content producers. Digital reporter Casey Holdall, who has been with the organization for more than 18 years, announced on social media that he had been let go. Quote, my sincerest thanks to all of you who have read, listened, watched, and engaged with my work over the years, unquote, he wrote.
Thank you. That was great. And again, this is not meant to be funny. Like, mass layoffs are very much a thing now. I have friends that have been through them, sometimes at multiple places.
I've been through one.
Including yourself, who has been through them. You get an email. I mean, you tell it, like, you get an email.
Exactly. That's
saying like, hey, meet us in an hour. And you don't know if you have a job in the next hour.
Oh, well, you don't. You don't have a job. You got like, you got 45 minutes to like get your as much stuff off the computer and stuff as you can. But yeah, that's what this reminded me of, obviously, because it's a same kind of situation. I had the honor of being laid off by a Danish man in a mock turtleneck on a video call. And yeah, it was like, I mean, just I knew it was coming, so it wasn't like a shock to me, but there were people who had the rug pulled out from under them. And I'll say this, like, it's a little different when you're talking about a company that was publicly traded,
right?
Compared to a sports team that is owned by one guy who just bought it for $5 billion, right? Like, so there's as unfortunate and upsetting and kind of, I could have probably, we could have all seen this coming and not made the mistakes that the company that laid me off did. It's they're beholden to stockholders or whatever, so they had that built-in excuse. This is just being cheap, if it's just one guy doing it, and he was able to pay $4.8 billion for an NBA team that used to fly people around on private jets and on a yacht called the Octopus. It's a little different. So it's this like, another Elliot Freeman quote is past, the way to tell what's to come, like, from someone's future behavior is their past behavior. I could have probably said that when he bought this NBA team to my NBA people, I should have reached out and been like, just wait till you see what this guy does, because he's gonna find ways to surprise you with how cheap he is. And the reason you've never heard about him is because he's celebrated for some reason on this side of the sporting world. Right. But yeah, I didn't really see this come up much, when people are talking about Dundon and the Hurricanes and how much they enjoy the style of play and the way that they're run. So
right.
a little weird that this one didn't seep into the Athletic on the hockey side, even though, as you said, there was the previous article Gavin read was by someone from the Athletic, and yet on the hockey side of the Athletic, this guy is like, he's when they release like the most powerful people in hockey, his blurb will be pretty rosy.
Oh, don't worry, we're getting there.
Right,
we're getting there. But I mean, just it's unbelievable to me that we are at a point where, like you just said, you get an email, you are called into a Zoom meeting, and you don't know, sometimes you leave that meeting with a job, and most of the time you don't. And even though, just because that's how it's done, doesn't make it humane. In fact, it's inhumane, and it's an awful thing. And if your goal is to show that you're not cheap and beat these Scrooge allegations,
right.
Letting go of 70 people in a Zoom call in 2 minutes is not how you do that, right? In fact, this is like rich asshole behavior. And you mentioned it kind of off the top, and I want to address it here too. You might be thinking, if you're listening to this and you're an Islanders fan, you might be thinking, wait a minute, aren't the Islanders owned by probably some rich asshole too? And it's like, yes, they are. In fact, if you count John Collins and Kelly Cheeseman, who are like the business operations guys, who I'm sure are doing very well for themselves, the Islanders potentially have 4 rich assholes at the helm of their organization. And I'm sure, have or could have potentially at any point one of these Zoom calls, which again are not limited to the sports arena, high profile jobs like, the Portland Trailblazers or whatever. Sometimes it's just a regular job. And this is what happens. And it's not right. It sucks. And it's just, this is not how you go about things. And we're going to get into his explanation about this in a few minutes. But this just really struck me as like, it's one thing for us to kind of joke around and, Bill Simmons calls a guy cheap, and then all these stories come out, and then he goes on a podcast and it's like, no, I'm really not that cheap, even though I am cheap and my friends make fun of me for being cheap. This is just awful. This is where the jokes and stuff kind of come to a head and real life intervenes. And all of a sudden 70 people, including a guy who was the digital reporter for the Blazers for 18 years, is now out of a job. And fans, frankly, weren't happy about it. We're going to get to them in a little bit.
It just astounds me that, that's the approach.
Right.
Did he give any further context around, like, what was the end game here? Or was he just like cutting costs for the sake of cutting costs?
Well, in fact, he did. It's a perfect segue to our final stave. Stave 3. The ghosts of bootlickers yet to come. Which we'll get to the Athletic as well. So, Tom Dundon's personal attempt at damage control didn't really work. The layoffs went pretty viral. People were pretty pissed off about it. Of course, if you're an NBA fan, if you're an NHL fan, none of this actually happened. If you're a Blazers fan, obviously this is, kind of huge news. Now we have to step up the damage control efforts, right? And how do we do that? Well, we get a couple of reporters to do that, including some people who write for the Oregonian, Oregon Live. Dundon does an interview with a writer named Bill Oram, where he explains a lot of this stuff. He talks about how having less people in the business side of things, the layoffs, by the way, were in the business side of things for now anyway, leads to people getting more responsibilities at work and are being are happier, they're more productive. And he makes this case that it was done out of empathy for the people who work there to give them more of a kind of a stake in things. Doesn't seem to have a lot of empathy for the 70 people who were fired. So you can miss me with the whole empathy thing, man. I'm sorry. But that was sort of his thing. It kind of leads to more productive people, more happier, people doing more work. I don't know if I buy that, but that's his line. He does there's another article, I should say, by Bill Oram, where Oram does, to Raleigh for a conference final game against the Montreal Canadiens and gets Hurricanes fans' feelings on Tom Dundon, which naturally are terrific. They love the guy. So what if he, fired Chuck Caton after 30 years with the organization and let a bunch of people go? Like, all of it was done in the service of making the team better, making them more efficient, run better. That's the kind of the whole thing. And Oram does a good job of, like, kind of, again, the duality of this man being, such a hero on one side of the country and kind of seen as being seen through very skeptical eyes on the other side of the country. But what Tom Dundon really needs is a hitter, a big hitter, a person to come in and really absolutely sell the fact that this man is not the monster that he is being painted as. And so we need a big hitter, and we found one of the biggest hitters we can possibly find. All 6'3" of him. Mike, will you please reveal who wrote this article from The Athletic entitled "How a Controversial New NBA Owner Funded an NHL Powerhouse to the Stanley Cup Final"?
Well, you'll be very chuffed to know that it is a favorite from Masterleaf Theater.
Right.
Coming to help us debut a Canesmas Carol. The one, the only, Mr. I'm not a fan. I am not a Leafs fan. Don't call me a Leafs fan. James Myrtle.
Man, we've been working on this for a long time. And when this article came out, it was like an entire chandelier of light bulbs went off. Like, oh my God, thank you, James Myrtle, for bringing this all home, because this is perfect.
Let's peel back the curtain a little bit here. As you said, we've been working on this for a long time. This article, as the title says, it's about the Hurricanes going to the Stanley Cup Final.
Right.
We had enough material that we were like, hey, let's do this. We're ready to go. Let's go find an Englishman. About 5 weeks ago, we were ready to go. And thank God we waited, because otherwise we'd have to call Gavin again, and be like, look, it's already part 2 time for So luckily we were able. We didn't mean to cut the corner on purpose by putting this all under one episode, but James Myrtle comes through for us once again, as he always does. But yeah, I mean, as we always say, just make sure you do not call this man a Maple Leafs fan. He's not.
No, he's not. If you are not a hockey fan and you're listening to this, maybe because you came to this by way of the Blazers and all that kind of stuff, James Myrtle is one of the big shots at The Athletic. He's basically the main editor of the NHL side of The Athletic, and he covers the Maple Leafs. He purports to not be a fan. That's a lie. He writes everything through the lens of the Maple Leafs. And not only does he write everything through the lens of the Maple Leafs, but his disdain for at least 29 or 30 other NHL teams is absolutely palpable through every single thing he writes, and including his very boring podcast that he does. He has no love for anybody, particularly the Islanders, who he, if they disappeared from his life, he would not shed one tear, that's for sure. The one team outside of the Maple Leafs that James Myrtle has a ton of respect for are the Carolina Hurricanes. Why would that be? Aren't they, a rival? Aren't they? In fact, they are. Here's the thing. The Hurricanes general manager is a guy named Eric Tulsky. Very interesting cat. Was a sports blogger. He's from Philly, blogged about the Flyers. By all accounts, is a very, very nice guy. Rose through the ranks of the Hurricanes from like a data analyst to now being the general manager. And he is Myrtle's perfect idea of a general manager, a guy who loves data, doesn't give a shit about all this old man hockey garbage that we've all had to deal with. And in fact, Myrtle has been working hard all summer trying to get the Leafs to hire Eric Tulsky away from the Hurricanes. And of course, he failed miserably. This is also a chance for me to once again relay the words of the great American philosopher David Lee Roth, who once said that rock critics love Elvis Costello because rock critics all look like Elvis Costello. And that is 100% applicable to Eric Tulsky as well. I love Elvis Costello too, but Van Halen is Van Halen and my favorite band, and I love Dave, and that's a great line. I'm sure Elvis Costello probably thinks that's a great line too. And so we are at this point where this guy who follows, covers the NHL and is incredibly jealous of the success of the Hurricanes and their general manager now has taken it upon himself to, to save their owner, to cape for and protect their owner at all costs and make sure people know that he is not the monster and the horrible Scrooge that he has been made out to be by some of these, NBA people. What do they know about this guy? We know about this guy. And so this article is fantastic, and it's a perfect Myrtle thing. And this section here really gets to the heart of Myrtle, Dundon, Tulsky, the NHL. This is great. Gavin, if you will, please read us the first part of Stave 3.
Quick sidebar. I think David Lee Roth, is playing on Long Island tonight, if I'm not mistaken. So
he is on tour. And my wife was like, do you want to go see him? And I was like, I've heard some YouTube videos, and no, I don't. Ironically, on the 22nd of June, we are going to see Sammy Hagar, who is playing here in New Jersey with Joe Satriani, Kenny Aronoff, and Michael Anthony doing their Best of All Worlds tour. So I've seen Van Halen with Hagar. I frankly don't need to see with Dave. Love Dave, but no thank. I appreciate that though.
Yes,
Long Island definitely loves David Lee Roth. Let's put it that way. But yes, if you will, please read us section 6 here.
The Hurricanes remain a small market NHL team, but they've invested heavily in other areas of their hockey operations too. The analytics department, for example, expanded to become one of the biggest in the league, adding 2 data scientists, a data engineer, and a second software developer. To help the players, they also hired for new roles such as assistant video coach, massage therapist, nutritionist, and a team chef. Most of the groups in the locker room staff have expanded by 1 or 2 people in the time he's been here. Carolina general manager Eric Tulsky said of Dundon, he came in, saw a team that was really at bare bones spending and said, you guys aren't spending enough. There's a lot of places here where you can spend more money and get value for it. It's not that he's looking to cut spending, it's that he's looking to spend only where there is value. A Harvard-educated nanotechnologist, Tulsky eventually adapted to those scary changes that Dundon initially made. 6 years after buying the team, Dundon promoted Tulsky to its top hockey operations role. Over this time, Tulsky has learned that his new boss's drive to improve exceeds that of anything he's experienced working in academia or in scientific community. Quote, we could win 4 cups in a row, Tulsky said. And the question will be, how do we put ourselves in a position to win the next 7? Jesus.
You
Let's start with 1.
Yeah. That's my God. This is just it's perfect. It's perfect Myrtle. Like, this is the team run by a Harvard-educated nanotechnologist, not some fucking hockey doofus. This guy is from the scientific community. Isn't that great? I mean, listen, we're here making fun for like an hour or so. The Hurricanes could potentially win the Stanley Cup this week. Like, let's be honest. Like, they've been very good, and obviously they've bounced the Islanders 3 in the last 5 years out of the playoffs. So, there is a little bit of sour grape, very painful. There's a little bit of sour grapes happening here as well. But like, just the idea that Myrtle feels the need to swoop in like Superman and stand there with his, fists on his hips, protecting Tom Dundon from the bullets of these NBA guys who don't know what they're talking about, just cracks me up. It's like, this man has hired a data scientist. Don't you understand? They don't care. Like they want things done. They see people being laid off and fans not getting what they're used to. And they're just like, what's going on here? Why? And so, and like, listen, maybe Dundon leads the Blazers to an NBA championship. I don't know. I mean, the Knicks are 2 games away from winning their first NBA championship in 50 years. Like, it could happen, but like, it's okay for the NBA guys to be questioning this rich asshole for his methods, even though the NHL guys think this rich asshole is the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's just so funny that it's like, I don't know why the NHL guys have decided to swoop in and protect this man at all costs. It's very funny.
He texts them back. It's that simple, right? He texted. So. Hey, we're signing Eric Robinson to a 2-year deal, by the way. And what's wonderful about this is, so like we always joke that for some reason something happened in the NHL media sphere about, I don't know, a decade ago now, that people have just become unrooted from reality. Like there have been times where we'll watch something happen at an NHL game and be like, oh wow, this team won, and then you log on and to Twitter, or you read about it at The Athletic or whatever, and essentially these people are trying to tell you what you just saw didn't happen, and this kind of became a thing. And this is another situation where like I feel like I'm taking crazy pills a bit, because I'm watching this guy for a decade or so, and like they're kicking the shit out of the Islanders all the time, and it sucks.
Yes.
But it's one thing for like when Sidney Crosby and the Penguins were kicking the shit out of the Islanders from like 2006 to 2014. I was like, well, what, like, whatever. Like, that's Sidney Crosby. That's the Penguins. Like, it's gonna happen. Like, this guy, I'm like, well, fuck this guy. Like, he's doing it. He not only is he kicking the shit out of the Islanders, but he's like clearly a very bad guy, and he's being held up by these people, and his reputation is being like sold to me as if, as you said, like, that the Scrooge allegations are false, when I'm like, well, what am I missing here then? You're making me feel like I'm like, is it gaslighting? I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm being toyed with, because I'm like, I'm reading that this guy bought the Hurricanes with money that he made by, like, you look at his Wikipedia page and he's basically being sued all the time by different state departments. Like, why is this guy the good guy? Why are you saying he's the Jerry Jones of the NHL and making that feel like I should be like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I don't get it. And his reputation among hockey insiders is, if you talk to people like in the league with teams, basically everybody knows that he kind of hired Eric Tulsky.
I mean, that was sort of like his guy, and like, he brought him in because he's a smart guy, and like, he's a smart guy,
very smart.
He kind of elevated him to this role of general manager, which is normally a role for ex-players, people who've done the job before, who frankly are going to cost more money.
Don Waddell, right?
Like Don Waddell, who he let go, who was running the Hurricanes for a long time, is now in Columbus. So like that. I don't know what Eric Tulsky makes, but I'm sure it's less than what Julian Brisebois makes in Tampa Bay, right? Or whoever.
And his reputation among people inside the game is that, like, he's Tom Dundon is the GM, and Eric Tulsky's just the guy who's like, well, you want to go get this players? Here's what my data says about it, right?
Right.
And this was pre-Tulsky, but like with the Jesperi Kotkaniemi offer sheet, like the Canadians offer sheeted Sebastian Aho, and the Hurricanes, because Dundon is such a, he can't take losing. He's a very strange guy. He offer sheeted Jesperi Kotkaniemi. It was a huge mistake. Like, they signed him to that long deal, but the reputation is like, Dundon is Tulsky is basically the mouthpiece and just the computer boy for Dundon. And that never became more clear than, do you remember at the GM meetings a couple months ago? They, they have like a little powwow, all the GMs sitting around a table, and they bring up issues, and to the commissioners in the room with like Bill Daly and the Pat Verbeek will stand up and say, like, I don't think these guys are negotiating tough enough, or Bill Guerin will want to steal a couple more Team USA players. But Tulsky stood up and said that he thought the quote, this is from Pierre LeBrun, quote, "We are told Carolina GM Eric Tulsky in front of the entire room said he felt the standard was slipping on goalie interference challenges, which I'm told got a rebuke from Gary Bettman, who said, we know that's coming from your owner, Tom Dundon." And that's what this guy is. He's just right. and not I don't want to make fun of Eric Tulsky, who once again, by all accounts, but the same people who have told me about Tom Dundon stories tell me that yes, Eric Tulsky is genuinely a nice human being. But when you look at him and you see him, you can kind of just see like the womp womp in him, like to sit back down and be like, okay, sorry. But yeah, so that's what kills us here about this guy and this team more than anything is like, there are logical reasons to have pet teams in sports. Like the people were rooting for the Buffalo Sabres because they had a 14-year drought. They root for the San Jose Sharks. They root for whoever, right? Like we were talking about like the Winnipeg Jets, the Coyotes, because we feel sort of like kindred spirits with the relocation stuff, all that kind of stuff. But this pet team, we have been told so many times, like, how can you hate the Carolina Hurricanes? And I'm like, very easily.
Yeah, it's very easy.
Yeah, like this guy. Here's rule number one. Like, their owner is an absolute piece of shit. Like, I don't understand. You don't have to really go much further than that. And not only is he a piece of shit, but I'm being told, oh no, he's actually good for the game. He's helping grow the game. He expanded the staff by at least one or two people a department, including a video coach. Like, what? I
mean, as Gavin noted, there's another massage therapist in there as well. So massages are a big thing.
This summer, soccer is here, and so are the watch parties. And Uber Eats has your game day essentials covered with 30% off orders from Aldi, Kroger, and Dollar General. Everything you need to keep your crowd happy, delivered straight to your door. Chips, dips, fresh ingredients, and more. Order in so you can lock in for the games. 30% off your grocery order, only on Uber Eats for a limited time.
Tomorrow morning is knocking. Stock your fridge now. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or a sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel, maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
You may think you know McDonald's drinks, but you don't know them like this. From fruity refreshers like the Strawberry Watermelon Refresher and the Mango Pineapple Refresher with popping boba, to crafted sodas like the Sprite Berry Blast with berry-flavored Sprite topped with cold foam. Who knew ice-cold drinks could be so fire? 6 all-new drinks are here. Try them all, now at McDonald's. Refreshers contain caffeine.
This episode is brought to you by Perfect Bistro Cat Food. Hey guys, today I'm interviewing my cat about his Perfect Bistro food. Percy, you seem to be a big Perfect Bistro fan. Care to comment? Totally. What do you like about it? You love the high-quality ingredients? And the delicious flavors, of course. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Listen to Percy, guys. Visit perfectbistro.com to try it for your cat.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You know those friends who support your preference for podcasts over music on road trips? That's the energy State Farm brings to insurance. With over 19,000 local agents, they help you find the coverage that fits your needs, so you can spend less time worrying about insurance and more time enjoying the ride. Download the State Farm app or go online at statefarm.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
But yeah, it's been rough, particularly this Cup final, where most of my friends who I love very much are all rooting for the Hurricanes. And I'm like, nope, can't do it. I'm not necessarily rooting for Vegas, but I'm definitely not rooting for Carolina because, I mean, obviously as Islanders fans, we have reasons of our own to hate these guys, but there's just the obligation to root for a team for reasons really is the easiest way to get me to hate them. Like I just don't want to do this, and I remember there was a time when the Patriots in 2001 were a cool story because quarterback Drew Bledsoe got hurt. They got led there by this guy, Tom Brady. Oh my God, they're going to beat the Rams. It's crazy. And then within a year or two, it was like, oh, fuck these guys. Like, I'm not going to keep doing like that was a 1 year thing. Cause it was interesting. I mean, the Patriots had not done anything for most of my lifetime. And all of a sudden it was like, wait, now they're doing this again. No. And then, we had 25 years of just seething hatred for the Patriots. That had not, frankly, I mean, I wasn't putting any money on the Jets, but it was, it had a lot to do with it as well. But at the same
Gavin's,
time,
his Leeds United kind of did the inverse of that, where everybody hated them forever in like the 70s and 80s, and then they
really,
they spiraled out of the place.
Indeed,
Yeah.
we are actually we're not anymore, but we're one of the most hated clubs in soccer, in football for sure. But for many reasons, which we won't go into today. But I think your point's valid. For me, it's like, one of the, if not the best part of being a sports fan, it's as much as who you hate, as much as what you love, whether
100%.
it be Man United, Chelsea, the Rangers, whatever, Australia Test cricket team, whatever it is, it's just so much fun to hate them.
Yeah,
it's the best.
That's what I don't understand. Like, why would I want to root for the team everybody's rooting for? It's like hatred is what kind of fuels us, I think.
Right.
I mean, I'm at the point where I pretty much hate every NHL team too, but like, that's what kind of gets me going. I'm not going to root for the team that everybody's rooting for. That's no fun.
Right. And we were, this all kind of started, let's not forget, when like the Canes were one of the first teams to be like labeled as an analytically like Moneyball driven team.
Right.
And they're like, well, you got to root for them because they're doing it the right way. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like,
right.
Like, who's like how they're doing it. Like, I just don't like them. Like,
right.
I don't care if like if Tom Dundon and Douglas Fur are just, throwing darts at a board to figure out what free agents they're gonna sign. Like, I don't like this team. I don't care. That weird like fetish that came about with like, you can only root for the teams that are not being run by old, hockey men, aka Lou Lamoriello. I was like,
right.
What happened to sports where I'm being told this? Like, as you said, like the hatred is the best. It is the best part because you're not the Islanders aren't going to win shit. Like they're not like they haven't won a division since 1988. Yeah. They haven't won a cup since 1983. Both of those that's 2 years before I was born and 7 years before I was born. So I have to find something else to keep me rooting. When the Islanders are eliminated by the Hurricanes, like I need to be able to keep my juices flowing. So so it's much more fun. And this is a very easy guy to hate.
Yes.
Like we're not spending an hour here to try to like come up with like these loose reasons. Like, no, this is a bad guy. Like, this is a bad guy, and it's fun to root for bad guys to lose.
Yeah. The idea that like, well, you got to root for the analytically driven team with the younger guys on it is totally 100% a hockey Twitter creation or hockey internet creation. And throughout the years, the 4-year period where the Islanders were run by two old bald guys made them one of the, NHL's premier villains. But for us, it was awesome. Like, it was awesome. Give me more old bald guys. If that's what we're going to get, I'll take them all, because those guys gave us 3 of the best years of our fandom, basically, and, you can't, the collective hockey knowledge between Lou Lamoriello and Barry Trotz is like off the charts. So, I mean, it's good to have data and analytics, but as Lou Lamoriello will tell you himself, and this is what, I mean, I don't want to go off on a whole Lou thing here, but like, if you ever listen to an interview with Lou, he is the first guy who said we have to start adapting to these things back in like the late 80s when he took over the Devils. He was one of the first guys to like look at data and look at analytics. The guy literally traveled to Russia to smuggle guys out from behind the Iron Curtain because they were the best players in the league. What about that screams, I don't like data? If his data told him that this, Slava Fetisov is the guy to get, then by God, he's going to get Slava Fetisov, right? Like that's how it works. And so he has this reputation of being this old crusty hockey man, whereas the reality is he's the first guy to talk about this kind of stuff. And, if Twitter had come along in 1987, he would be lauded as this, the young, analytically driven upstart from college. Whereas now, everybody who loves those guys hates Lou. Meanwhile, without Lou, there are none of these guys. It's just that all happened before they were born. So it doesn't matter. But
yeah, it was a great time to be an Islander fan. Just before I jumped onto that, I didn't realize today was the anniversary of the New York Saints press conference 5 years ago.
Oh my God.
One of the greatest.
That's amazing.
What a memory.
Yeah.
What a game that was.
That was the best, man. I just walking around that parking lot and just all of a sudden seeing 4 dudes just take out whatever you would call a suitcase that you keep your musical instrument in, and then just like them unfurl. I'm like, are those guys about to take out? Is that guy taking out a tuba? And then all of a sudden they start playing it, and oh God, just so good. Yeah, making the playoffs was so much fun. It's I hope they do that again sometime.
I wish I'd still. Yeah, we'll see. Jury's still out.
Yeah, as much as we hate Carolina, I guess I would rather go out to Carolina than the pathetic whimper that happened at the end of our season.
Yeah. No, I know.
I was so this day I'm so pissed off this year. I was so pissed off. It's like I kind of like this is kind of like my first re-engagement into hockey. I kind of stepped away from it. I was like, fuck you and your hockey team. And I just didn't. I listened to Anxiety on a Monday morning, and then that's it. I was like, I just had to step away.
Yep.
Get into the soccer, and the World Cup's coming. But you two have drawn me back in, so I'll be there again in October.
Wow.
But boy, this
that's
team
very surprising.
Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, that's very surprising to hear, considering it. Sometimes I turn off the episode and I'm like, I don't understand why anybody would watch this team or listen to us, because it sounds like we make this such a miserable experience. But yeah, this season was something else. But we have one more section here, though, before we go off on the Islanders here, that will bring all this together. So one group we haven't really discussed all that much are the Blazers fans. Very, very loyal fans. Again, the team has been around for, since the mid-'70s. They had one championship probably about a year after I was born. And since then, it's, success has been few and far between. They went to the one finals against Michael Jordan's Bulls. They lost. They've had a couple of great players here and there, but really, much like the Islanders, success has not really found them over the course of, several years. And so a lot of Blazers fans, you have to go to where the fans are. And there's blogs, of course. But of course, these days that means Reddit. And there is a Reddit subreddit called Rip City that is, Blazers fans, probably the number one Blazers fan forum on Reddit. And not everybody is, totally scared off by Tom Dundon. Some people are like, hey, listen, let the guy do what he's going to do, and then we'll worry about it. Or some people are like, hey, listen, the Hurricanes are very successful. He obviously knows what he's doing. Let him do his thing. But a lot of people, I would say probably half of them, are not buying any of this and are very, very skeptical of this man and his methods. They are very upset that the team reporter was let go. They're very upset at the layoffs in general. They're very upset. They were, at first they were upset about the t-shirt thing, which again, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but like Dundon's reasoning for not doing the t-shirts was hockey fans wear jerseys to games. So we don't do t-shirts. We do rally towels, which they swing around during the game. So that's why he did the rally towel for the NBA game, not realizing that nobody swings around a towel at a basketball game. They just don't do it. And people love t-shirts because they don't wear jerseys. I mean, some people obviously are wearing jerseys, but not everybody's wearing jerseys to a basketball game the way they do to hockey games. So he was like, I didn't know about that. Was my mistake. But like, these things pile up. And again, some people are very much not on board with this guy. And I found a thread that, again, was relevant to this time period. And this is at Rip City. Seems like a really great community. You should check it out. And the thread is called, "Should we root for or against the Carolina Hurricanes as Blazers fans?" And I found one comment that will bring it all home. Gavin, if you will, please read section 7, our final reading here for A Canesmas Carol.
I couldn't care less about hockey. I'd almost hope the Hurricanes lose so Dundon doesn't get an even bigger ego.
Fantastic. Well, I got a lot of upvotes there too. I'd rather this guy lose because he's getting a little bit too full of himself. But Yeah, this has been pretty wild. I have some other links here too. Again, I mentioned the ProPublica article about the subprime auto loans. Drew McGarry at the San Francisco gate had it out with Dundon at the initial kind of burst of the El Cheapo stuff. There's an article from a blog called thecurrentaffairs.org that says the NBA's newest, cheapest owner shows how billionaires ruin sports. No argument there. And if you like A Christmas Carol, I found the BBC's audio version of it, starring the great Michael Gough, who you may know from playing Alfred in 4 Batman movies from between 1989 and 1997. So shout out Michael Gough, who I think died years ago. But I think we have done the job here in A Canesmas Carol of painting the picture of a man who is a rich asshole, who is incredibly cheap, and may or may not have a championship coming to him very shortly, but that doesn't make him a good dude or a laudable one, no matter how many hockey writers tell you how great he is. This has been a lot of fun. Gavin, thank you again so much for doing this. I hope you've enjoyed your time as David Attenborough or Benedict Cumberbatch or Michael Gough might have enjoyed reading some of these passages for us.
Truly the best of British there, I think. No, always happy to help out. I was actually realizing I was doing my English accent a disservice, because I would have said data. A data scientist, not data scientist. So
you've been living in the US too long. You've been living in Brooklyn too long.
Yeah, it's 20 years. 20 years there too much. So that's appreciate the invite, and just want to say I appreciate the work that you both do. I think the podcast is great, and in a world of professional liars and performative podcasts, I think you both stand out head and shoulders above everybody. So it's a great listen. So appreciate that, and it's great to be part of it. So thanks for the invite.
We love having you as part of it. You'll be back again. We'll have you on. Maybe we'll have you on talking about the World Cup. Definitely we'll have you talking on about cricket again. But no, this has been a lot of fun, and you did a bang up job. We really, really appreciate it. And I mean, if we can drag you back into hockey, trust me, that was not our intention. But I guess these things happen when you put your voice out into the world. But we really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on with us.
You're welcome.
Mike, we've covered a lot here. We've been working on this for a long time. This is exactly as I hoped it came out. It was just fantastic. Obviously, Gavin really helped us out here. Any final thoughts on Tom Dundon, the Hurricanes, rich assholes being cheap, or anything else that we've covered here today?
The one thing I will add, which is that Tom Dundon also has kind of set the standard in Carolina, I would say too, and just like how the whole operation behaves. Because he has this way about him where he's like, I can't be wrong, like I'm gonna do it my way. And Drew Magary and Bill Simmons and all these other NBA writers can tell me I'm doing it wrong, but I'm right. And well, that definitely seeps into Carolina fans who Sean McDonough got so frustrated with the way that they were on the refs cases in one of the games, and their head coach Rod Brendamore, who if you blow a whistle against that man and a call doesn't go his way, boy, he chews that gum really hard. So it's not just it's such a hateable team, and yet all these people in the hockey media echo chamber try to tell us the exact opposite. And it's very similar to how we felt about the Leafs when they got Tavares, and painted Islander fans as like the bad guys, like for losing the player and trying to keep the player.
Right.
And it just makes you be like, what am I missing here? And that like isolating feeling of trying to figure that out is so frustrating. So it's always nice to do these kind of things, to remind people that if you're thinking that, you're not alone. Like we just did an hour, 15 minutes. We outsourced an accent from England to drive the point home as best we can. And I hope we did a good job doing so. And I do also want to say that I'm in awe of the way that you put this together, Dan, because I mean, the way you could just you took the idea of us being like, hey, we gotta shit on Tom Dundon to getting it to being a Christmas Carol satire is wonderfully done. And it was your idea to go find an accent to give it life. And so yeah, I doff my Scrooge style top hat in the streets of Victorian England to you from across the way, from across the shambles. Yeah, because it was very well done. The art is beautiful. It's just it's so good. And as I alluded to off the top, I have a friend who works at the Ringer who called me a few weeks ago and was like, "Do you know who Tom Dundon is?" And I was like, "Yes. Why are you asking?" And he explained how Bill Simmons has it out for him. So I'm hoping that this reaches Bill by those back channels. And Bill, if you're listening to this, I hope you enjoyed a Canesmas Carol. And we can interest you. Can we interest you in hours upon hours of similar stylized podcast about the Toronto Maple Leafs? Because we have those too.
Yes, very much. Yeah, that is our absolute go-to bread and butter, and will be for a long time. But no, I appreciate those very kind words. This has been a lot of fun to work with. This is one of those times where I do wish we had video, because then we would all be wearing top hats. I would find some filter and we'd all be wearing a very jaunty stovepipe hat that Scrooge was known for. But no, it's, when it comes to this kind of stuff, the ideas sort of call to you. And when I thought about, what to do, and I'm always trying to link these things to great works of literature, even as, we've done in Master Leaf Theater, Tree Falls in Toronto, and the talented Mr. Cheka and all that kind of stuff. And, the more I thought about it, I was like, all right, well, it's, we have done Dickens a lot, but we hadn't done necessarily Scrooge. And the more I read about how cheap he was, the more it made more sense. And so it all worked out. And I found out stuff about A Christmas Carol, like it was broken up into staves, which as far as I know is the only work that has ever been broken up into staves. And so there you go. But we got our three ghosts in there. And there is certainly no shortage of adaptations of A Christmas Carol out there, and this is ours. And so we have added one more to that that group.
Before we sign off, I just want to leave us with one question to ponder, which is, the Islanders have famously had a lot of cheap owners.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
Those guys go to jail though. Like
yeah.
This guy does it. He's so.
They've had a bunch go to jail, and one guy moved to Florida, which is, kind of the same thing, I guess. So, but yeah, this is, if there's anything I want to make sure, we did talk about it before, but like the Islanders are not immune to any of this stuff, like when you introduce a rich asshole into your, organization, no matter what field it is, this kind of stuff can happen. And certainly sports, you have to be a rich asshole to own a sports team, obviously, and no matter what sport, no matter what continent it's on. That is true. And so, we expect this kind of stuff. You have to just kind of assume this stuff is going to happen, but that doesn't make it right. And as long as we hold true to that, we should still be okay. Very quickly, this is not our only piece of content coming out this week. We hope you've enjoyed it. Obviously, Friday is a brand new episode of Weird Islanders, the podcast. Another episode we have been working on for a very, very long time. It's one I wanted to do pretty much since the start of the series. And I knew exactly who to have on. It came out great. I can't wait for people to hear it on Friday. It's one that we finally get some answers to some lingering questions about a player who played for the Islanders for a very, very, very infamous 55-game season in which he scored 1 goal and 0 assists and had some notable line mates. And if you know what I'm talking about, you should be very excited for that episode. And that comes out on Friday. So thank you very much for listening. Of course, sign up at patreon.com/IslandersAnxiety for ad-free episodes, bonus podcasts, written posts, all that kind of stuff. Read Lighthouse Hockey every single day for most up-to-date Islanders news and discussion. Shop vintageIceHockey.com. Try ones from the Pinot Project, all that stuff. And we will talk to you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.